This is Tegan Podliska, Module 16, EDL 856, Case Study, Parental Apathy. Category 1, Problem Identification and Analysis. In your analysis of the case, provide examples from what do you know. I know that Mrs. Rose is a new assistant principal. She just finished her admin degree. Her final course was community relations. She is at a new school, JFK, and there's no PTA or PTO. Some parental involvement groups they've had in the past, but currently nothing in place. They have little principal support, said it didn't work when he tried, said parents didn't want to be involved based on phone calls and limited conference interactions. Brought it up again, and the principal agreed to set up a meeting to gauge parent interest. He wanted to create a parents advisory group, but not a PTO or PTA. He provided an invitation to parents. He did so by distributing information at the end of Friday. Gave 3 days notice, set a meeting at 7:30 p.m. on a Monday. 8 parents showed up, and he wanted to quit proceeding with the meeting due to lack of involvement. What do you need to know? The community demographics, income level, educational level. Is it a urban or rural community? How many kids are there? If you have a large population, obviously you're going to have more parents involved. If you have a really small population, 8 could be a more significant number. How many businesses are in the community? Were they invited? How many community groups are there? Booster clubs, things like that. Also past information. What does didn't work mean? Claiming that something doesn't work. How did it work? What was in place? What did you try? Different things like that. How many interactions led to his decision? He said based on phone calls and conference interactions. Were those with every parent or were those with a select group of individuals? As far as announcements go, how was it communicated? When was it communicated? What was communicated? How, when, what has been communicated in the past and is communicated regularly? Based on the information you provided in A and B, identify the problem. Principal is setting his school up for failure regarding community and parental involvement. There's a lack of willingness to let parents be involved. Setting up meetings with short notice at bad times to hurt attendance, basically sabotaging it. If you give 3 days notice and you set up a meeting whenever you want, then you're not going to have good attendance. Not working with the parents who are interested in getting involved. So instead of using those 8 parents to gauge what might be issues or things like that, he just said, nah, we're just going to cancel the meeting. Category 2, proposed plan of action with appropriate strategies for implementation. The plan of action should include clearly outlined steps designed to resolve the problem. First off, continue with the meeting. Examine the agenda. Is there an agenda? If you have a meeting and you don't have an agenda and that isn't publicized, then you're going to have issues right away. Take notes while the meeting occurs. Ask about the best ways to communicate. So talk to the people who are there. How'd they hear about it? What steps can you take in the future? As far as the media goes, speak on the media. Get on social media about the importance of parental involvement and invite people. Conduct some surveys with the parents and community. What are the best forms of communication? Have they heard anything from the school previously? Is that through letters, or is that through kids taking things home, or is that through social media, or is that through phone calls? What's the best way? Emails, things like that. Schedule another meeting. Publicize a clear agenda. Base that off your survey and the prior meeting. Turn it into a social event. I know we've done things in the past, and when we had our community buildings project to pass our bond issue, we did some events. We had some snacks and things like that because it got more people involved. More appropriately inform parents and community about the meeting. Use multiple mediums multiple times. If I know as a middle school administrator, if I want to make an announcement, if I send a piece of paper home with my entire student body, probably 20% of them will make it home. I'm also a coach. I just handed out pictures earlier this week, and 4 kids weren't there out of 25, and I would bet that 3 of them forgot them in the locker room. So you're talking percentages that are not very good. As the leader, include the appropriate strategies you would use to implement your plan. Create a communication committee based on a teacher interest. So get your staff involved. Who wants to help out with communication? Who is tech savvy? Who runs your social media accounts? Develop a survey for parents on communication and needs or concerns. All of those things that need to be addressed. If you have a list of needs and concerns based off of this survey and you communicate those things, then you're probably going to get a lot better engagement at your meetings. Attend community events and promote your school. So even if people don't want to be involved, make them listen. Get out there, be heard, talk about what your plan is, talk about those needs and concerns. Analyze use of media and social media. I know our superintendent's on the radio once a week. I know we send out weekly newsletters. I know we have multiple Facebook pages. We have a lot of Twitter accounts from head coaches. Set goals for parent communication, both by teachers and administration. We have goals for our teachers as far as positive and negative communications. When a kid gets in trouble, we call home and we talk about, hey, this kid did this. They're going to have detention on Monday. But at the same time, we talk about we're doing postcards right now. Each teacher sends a postcard home once a week, highlighting one student in one period of their classes, so we don't have a bunch of kids getting multiple letters because it's all based on, say, this week is first period. Create an agenda or a plan for the next meeting and communicate it. So get that out there on the media and social media and try to get people involved. Your decision should be based on the answers to the following question: what is best for students? The best things for students: teachers feel valued and work harder. So when communications are heard from both teachers and students, everybody feels valued and they work harder. Students feel valued. We have a student concern form that we use, and one of the recent concerns was students being able to listen to music during study hall. And they filled out the concern form. Not only do they have their concern, but they also come up with a solution. And their solution was, if you're not on the D or F list, you have no missing assignments, you have headphones, then you can listen to music during study hall. As long as your teacher gives permission, you ask beforehand, and they know that privilege can be taken away. Parents feel valued, and they talk positively about the school. If they never have any communication, then there's probably going to be a lot of negative communication from parent to parent about your school. You have improved relationships at home. When you have those positive and negative communications, you also have better grades with increased communication. If you have a student who's constantly missing assignments or constantly getting in trouble, then you need to make those communications. Also, if you have positive communications and little Johnny walks home and his mom said, "Your teacher called me today and you did absolutely awesome on your book report," then little Johnny's probably going to try pretty hard on his next book report. You also have better rapport with your students and parents because they feel like their voice is being heard. More community support creates a better learning environment. You have more people at your activities. You also have more financial support. Companies don't write checks to schools that they have nothing to do with. If you invite people to attend your events, then those people open up pocketbooks and they pay for uniforms and different things like that. Better communication equals an understanding of the expectations. So what are your goals? Make those goals heard, make those goals known, and everybody will be on board. The resolution to the problem should include examples of data or facts from the case. There's a lack of parent organization at JFK. Principal has demonstrated more than once he is against one. There's a lack of communication at JFK. Meeting 3 days in advance with a note home is a terrible way to schedule a meeting. I'm surprised that 8 people showed up in the first place. The principal feels like parents don't want to be involved, and he's not willing to let them. The ones who want to be involved, he says, nah, there's not enough of you. Those are all negatives based on the case facts. What were you thinking, feeling, and valuing as responded to this problem? Thinking there was a lack of effort. There was an unwillingness to change, was content with staying the same, and a lack of planning. So he was unwilling to change, unwilling to let the community and the parents be involved. He was content with how it always been because, well, I tried it one time and it didn't work. Quite the contrary of try again. And a lack of planning. When you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And when you fail to plan for a meeting, it's going to be a failure. Feeling there's bad leadership. There are no bad teams, only bad leaders. It's a Leif Babin quote. Jocko Willink, extreme ownership. I really feel that's a true statement. Valuing education. I value my education. I value different leadership courses I've been a part of and the communication processes that I've learned. I'm constantly learning, and my goal is communication all the time. There's no such thing as too much. What issues are still unresolved or open to further investigation? Use specific examples, data, information, and models that you have used. Perceptions of students, parents, staff, and community. So we still don't know what those are, and those are going to be very important in correcting the problem. A reevaluation of the communication plans and processes. So is there a communication plan? How do communications occur? Do they have any positive or negative communication? Do they only call parents when there's a problem? What are the processes for communication? Do they have any requirements? Do their teachers provide articles? Do the teachers post on social media? Different things like that. What's the administration up to? Concern for Mrs. Rose. She's a new leader under poor leadership. It's an extremely uncomfortable case. She has all these new ideas that she just learned about, and they're very exciting, and she's unable to do any of those things. We also have a staff concern form at our school, and the reason that we developed a staff concern form was actually because I attended a PLC and I saw a staff concern form that they had, and that was a great idea. And I went to my administration and I said, hey, I learned this at the PLC. I think it'd be very valuable, and it just got pushed aside. So when I became an administrator, the first thing I did was instated that, because we spend so much money sending students and teachers and administrators to all these trainings, and if they all come home with one good thing and they can address that concern and they can put that into the form that we've developed for them and we can implement that, we can have the best school there is. Goals for the future. It's still unclear what the goals are for the future. Do they want to increase communication? Do they want to have a process? Do they want to create a team? So none of those things are addressed. Reflecting on Standard 4 by providing evidence that you as the educational leader promote the academic success and personal well-being of every student by promoting communities of engagement for families and other stakeholders in schools community. How did you as the educational leader promote the academic success of every student while addressing the issues revealed in the parental apathy case study? New communication team and plan, fostering relationships between students, parents, and staff, building relationships within the community, tapping into community resources, improve media and social media presence. All of those things are going to help with academic success. Having a communication plan. Communicating things is huge in academics, whether it's bad test scores or good test scores. What are your goals? What are your expectations? Those relationships building between students, parents, and staff are absolutely huge with developing rapport, having positive classroom management. Building relationships within the community. There's so many people that are willing to help you out, but if you shut them off, then they're never going to help you out. Tapping into those resources and improving that media and social media presence. Our kids are in an era of technology, and we need to embrace that. How did you as the educational leader promote the well-being of every student while addressing the issues revealed in the parental apathy case study? Improve culture and climate. Increase communication, students feeling valued, parents feeling valued, staff feeling valued, administration feeling valued. All of those things are going to help with culture and climate. Inviting parents, community to be a part. When you invite people to be a part of something, then they're going to show a willingness to do it. Letting parents, community have a voice no matter how many. So I don't care if 8 parents show up. I used to run open mats and I had 1 kid show up, and you bet everything that I opened the room for that 1 kid for an hour and a half and he got better at wrestling. You have to show a willingness to help people and a willingness to let people be involved and be as good as they want to be, whether that's your parents, your community, or your staff. Trust and transparency are absolutely huge in this. When your community can trust your school system and it's transparent everything you're doing, then they feel much more comfortable sending their kid there, and they feel much more comfortable with the decisions you make. They don't think you're making all these decisions behind their back. How did you as the educational leader promote communities of engagement for families and other stakeholders in the school's community while addressing the issues revealed in the parental apathy case study? Creating a team focused on increasing community involvement, inviting everyone to be a part, surveying them about their concerns, providing an agenda, and increasing communication. All of these pieces help with that community engagement. You have that team that's focused on making it better. You invite everyone to be a part. There's a reason I had 8 wrestling managers last year, and that's because I wanted them to be a part of the tradition of our wrestling program, because now their family's going to attend the meets, and they're going to bring little brother Timmy, who's 5 years old and he's never wrestled before, but now his sister's a manager and she's excited and he's excited, and now he's got an idol that he's watching on the wrestling mat, and now he wants to be a part of the program. Surveying people about their concerns, just lending an ear, whether you're talking to your students or your staff or your parents, asking them about what concerns they have or what suggestions they have, and then addressing those things, bringing those people in and saying, hey, we're going to do that, or hey, that's a good idea, but we can't do it because it's against some piece of legislation or whatever. Providing that agenda so that people, if I say I'm going to have a community meeting, but nobody really knows what it's about, then maybe some people will show up. But if I throw in some things that are really going to affect you or your students or your kids, then you're probably more likely to show up. Increasing communication the whole way through is a vital part of that entire community engagement component. Thanks.